What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show with Carissa O'Shea. This is the first time I got my mics on fleek this time, and I'm excited about that.
Mike's on fleek.
It's the first time it doesn't sound like crap. These are good things. These are things to celebrate in life.
Yes. Happy Monday.
Dude, happy Monday. First, let's just get right into it.
Do it.
What are your thoughts on Mondays? I'm just kidding. What are your thoughts on Kamala Harris going down to Guatemala, which you gotta love, and telling the people of Guatemala to not come to America? That's okay for her to say, but if Trump was to say anything similar, he would be told he was a big old fat racist. What are your thoughts on the whole crap with that?
My thought was not compared to Trump. It's that number one, it's June.
Yeah.
A little late. Number two, the amount of mixed signals this administration has given is like insane. You know?
Right.
Like there has been so many flip-flops
Right.
on a countless number of issues.
Right.
It's hard to keep track.
At this point, it is kind of hard to.
You know how they had like a lie tracker for Trump?
Yes, a fact checker.
Fact checker, lie checker, whatever.
Whatever it was.
And it was like some crazy amount of lies they said he told. We need like a flip-flop tracker for this one, you know?
Yeah, but seriously, what does that even look like at this point? I mean, and who would be in charge of it?
I don't know. It's pointless at this point because it's kind of just chaotic.
Or everything is pointless.
Is it? You think
I don't
so?
know. I don't know.
I
don't know.
didn't.
Sometimes I do. I don't know.
I didn't watch the show today. Can you catch me up on just like one or two tidbits of big news?
My show?
Yeah.
One of the top Chinese scientists, he that developed a patent for COVID-19 or something like that.
Okay.
He mysteriously died out of nowhere. And also, I don't know.
Oh yeah,
No,
some Twitter account was like deleted too for someone.
Oh yeah, the guy that worked with Fauci's
Yes.
Twitter account was deleted.
Yes.
Which is funny. I made a quote about that. I was just like, I made a goof. I was like, and he didn't kill himself. But says Jeffrey Epstein. So top Chinese scientists filed coronavirus vaccine patent in February 2020.
Vaccine.
Yeah, vaccine patent in February 2020. He mysteriously died.
When?
His name is Zhao. February 2020. So last year.
No, I know, but when did he die?
I don't know. He just mysteriously just recently died.
Okay.
Zhao, who conducted the research in conjunction with the Wuhan Institute, he also worked with the University of Minnesota, also the New York Blood Center. So he worked here too.
Was he American?
No. And he was the first to file a patent on COVID-19 vaccine in February 24th last year, according to documents obtained by the Weekend Australian. This was 5 weeks after China admitted there was a human-to-human transmission of the virus. Zhao Zuo is listed as the lead inventor of the patent application lodged by the Institute of Military Medicine Academy and Military Sciences of the PLA. So that happened.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Don't be suspicious.
Are we like supposed to just pretend like that's, not suspicious at all?
The fact that there was a patent even filed for COVID-19 February.
No, you're saying COVID-19. It's the vaccine.
Right, the patent for the vaccine for
Yes.
COVID-19. That's insane.
That's different. That is insane. That early in the process.
Beyond different.
It's almost like the lockdown was like part of a plan.
But seriously, what if it was? Everything just to get Trump out of office.
Remember when I told you this quote that I saw on the internet? It's just kind of fun.
What quote?
Fun and freaky.
Say freaky friends.
We didn't need the vaccine We needed COVID for the vaccine.
What does that even mean? Talk to me what that means. Break that down for us idiots.
Can I?
Please.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Meaning the vaccine was the original plan. And they had to create something dramatic in order for so many people to take the vaccine. A pandemic.
Whoa.
Y'all had to be freaked out about saving grandma, saving our neighbor, and locking down for a year. And the only way to get back to normal is to get a vaccine. And so, of course, everyone did it, including myself. I'm vaccinated. Aren't you?
No. No, I tell my audience every day that I'm waiting for them to be a guaranteed $1 million offering to me for the vaccine. I don't want to be in a drawing for a vaccine. To win $1 million, I want it to be.
You want the contract?
Yeah. Show me the contract. Show me the contract. I want to read it. It's gonna be fantastic. But I want it to be like I get jabbed for the vaccine, then they give me $1 million right there on the spot. That'd be the only way I get a vaccine.
I think you need the $1 million first.
Okay, probably true.
Yeah, the wire transfer needs to be secured, and you have a lawyer present, and
Yes.
there's a contract.
Yes.
$1 million is a lot of money.
That is a lot. I would accept Bitcoin. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin? People are so scared about it. I don't understand why they're so freaked out by it, but I'm a big fan of Bitcoin. And the fact that not those small tiny countries.
Venezuela?
No, Venezuela's huge.
Ecuador?
No.
Costa Rica.
No, you're getting warmer.
Got this. Honduras.
I think even warmer. I forget.
Dominican Republic.
No, I'm blanking. Don't
Chile.
you love?
That's a
No,
big country.
Chile's huge. Don't you love when people are like blanking on something and then they're just like, "That's not it. That's not it."
Yeah.
You're like, you don't even know what I'm trying to say.
Right.
You're like, I just know that's not it.
Can't be it.
Bottom line, that can't be it. What is it?
Doesn't matter.
No,
Okay.
I guess it doesn't.
We'll move
But they
on.
made it a legal currency there, so I guess it does matter.
Oh, well, that's good.
I'm gonna look it up. I feel like I need to know these things.
I
But what
just-
are your thoughts on Bitcoin?
I don't know. I'm too uneducated to have an opinion.
El
El
Salvador.
Salvador.
Golly, that was pathetic.
But I saw that the FBI seized 2.3 of $4.4 million that of the Colonial Pipeline ransom from a Bitcoin wallet pursuant to an order from a federal court. So they tracked and recovered
Yo,
millions.
mechanics.
What?
Somebody said hi.
Oh.
Yo.
So they tracked and recovered millions in cryptocurrency paid to the ransomware hackers.
So they track the cryptocurrency.
Yeah, well,
How do you even do that? Do you put like
I thought it
a
was-
bug on it?
well, I thought Bitcoin was like completely transparent.
You mean cryptid?
Well, I thought you could see everyone's transactions.
No.
Is that not true?
No, that's
Oh.
that's why it's so great.
Oh.
And that's why people are so freaked out by it, especially people like some of our friends. They're just like, oh, the criminals are going to use Bitcoin, and so ergo we can't have Bitcoin.
They already
it's pretty- I
use
don't-
cash. What's the difference?
Well, the difference is that we as an average human being, we as you and I, can do illegal activity and not get caught by paying off people instead of the government doing it.
Okay.
Like how we just give money to all these countries and then we don't track it. And we as the American people just don't even look into it. We're just like, oh, well, we're busy doing other things. And so people are like mad. They're like, look, you can buy drugs with Bitcoin. You can essentially pay off a murderer with Bitcoin and no one would know. So that's like a big fight for it.
So in terms of like deregulation, is Bitcoin like a social justice form of currency, meaning like the power of the money is back in the hands of the people.
Right. So the power of the money and the power of like the currency and everything that's behind it is completely deregulated, and the government can't inflate it,
Right.
and they can't like
So it seems like this would be a really great thing for the progressive left, right? They really cared about social justice.
no, because they're all about like control. So control for them would be more important than allowing people like you and I to have the power to be able to do it.
Yeah. Okay. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin?
Bitcoin for me is, I'm a big fan of Bitcoin for a couple of reasons. One, you can do whatever you want with the currency, and the value goes up. Value goes up like constantly. I mean it fluctuates, but it's not as bad as the dollar. Whereas the dollar is like, the value of it can fluctuate depending on who's in power.
Right, because they can print more. With Bitcoin, you can't.
Right.
Right? There's only a certain number of Bitcoin.
Yes, but also there's a certain amount that gets released through mining. Only a certain amount every cycle or something like that. Yeah, it's like
very slow, right?
Yeah, so it's just the inflation for it is so much better. And I'm not the best person to talk to about this.
Right, but we're misinformed.
Yes, we're misinformed. But a very high emphasis on the miss.
Yes.
Or MISS informed.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, because I put just MIS and YouTube saw that as literally misinformation. Like, why would you, if you knew YouTube would like take you down for that, why would you name it? I guess because I'm stupid, but why?
I don't know. What are your thoughts about Kamala Harris at the border telling Guatemalans not to come?
I think it's laughable, hilarious. I think that, okay, so the first part of me agrees with her, and I clap it. I think it's great because we have to shut down the border. The border is a huge issue. And so like when I see Kamala coming out and saying that we don't come to America, I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be like the kind of conservative when I see something I agree with, even if it's a different party line.
Totally.
And just be like, oh, this is stupid. I can't believe. But
totally.
I did, so there is that part of me that like, I see Kamala doing that. Fantastic. That's great. But also she's not addressing the real issue. She's not addressing the problem. She's just, you got a broken arm, but you're bleeding. She's like trying to put Band-Aids on stop the bleeding first, as opposed to fixing the broken arm, which is the border. When we have kids being dropped off at the border, just being left there, human trafficking being there, drugs being passed through the border. I mean, there's just like so much at the border that needs to be stopped, and yet she's over in Guatemala right now. Like, what are you doing?
Has she even been to the U.S.-Mexico border?
No.
Still.
No.
So she went all the way to Guatemala,
right,
passing our own border.
Right. Flying over it, probably waving.
Why do you think she hasn't been to our border?
Because she's a politician. She's like a deep-seated politician at heart, where she's all about the visual, all about the way it looks, the optics. I mean, she's always kind of been that way. Like, remember when she laughed about smoking weed, but then she locked away all the, like, she was notorious for locking away like tons of black people in jail for smoking weed, but then in an interview she's laughing about it. You're like, what? Where's your principle? Where's your, like, where is that even coming from? So she won't go to the border because she knows it's bad. Even though they're like putting children on planes and shipping them to, sanctuary cities like Denver, Tennessee, like Chattanooga, where they went, Miami, all these mayors that are just okay with her doing these things. They, I don't know.
No, it's like a huge humanitarian crisis.
It really is.
It honestly disgusts me to the core.
As it should. You're a human being, it should.
Well, no, it disgusts me to the core. Not only the things that are happening, but the people in our highest offices won't take the time of day to see it for their own eyes because the optics on it are bad.
Right.
Like, how can you live with yourself? How can you sleep at night knowing all of this is happening on your turf and you are the person assigned to take care
Right.
of it and address it?
Right. Just the czar.
And even even if you make policy decisions that like we wouldn't agree on, just going there is a huge step, you know?
Right.
And
Right.
she can't even be bothered to do that. Like, that is disgusting to me. That you are responsible for all of these children
Right.
being trafficked,
Right.
being separated from their
Right.
parents,
Right.
and you can't even be bothered to step foot and see it for yourself. And yet you go to Guatemala,
Right.
not even our own country.
Right.
I mean, I understand it's good, like, tell them not to come.
Yeah.
Not
it's
only
a
do we have
good optic.
the sex trafficking, but how about all the Americans who are sitting at home, not at work? And then
Right.
we are flooding the country with immigrants who are willing to work.
Yeah, sure.
And so they're eating up all of these jobs.
Well,
And so when the Americans are no longer scared of COVID in the workplace and they try to go back to work, which I don't believe that is the reason people are staying at home, not working.
right.
But the second those people try and go back to get jobs, guess who's going to have those jobs? People who are not even citizens of this country.
You know, well, it's funny that you say that, is because that's very Bernie Sanders, old Bernie Sanders approach,
Yeah.
and seen as something like very racist for a while
Yeah.
because of Trump would say something similar, very nationalist, very like America First policy, and people rejected that. But then now you have Kamala Harris coming out and doing the same, and just doesn't make.
I just don't understand how you be a politician for a country and not put the people of your country first.
Right.
That I
Right.
just don't understand.
Right.
I literally, I mean, they're so scared of like, I mean, maybe they're not scared, but if you just want to open all of your borders and just let people come in and out as they please, like, just
Yeah.
call yourself a globalist and stop running. Seriously though, stop running for offices that the whole goal is to protect this country first.
Yeah, but if you're a globalist, you want to be in power to make those globalist powers.
I know.
Okay.
I'm just saying, if people haven't caught on by now, like, I just wake up.
It should be obvious.
It's obvious, right?
Yeah. I don't know why. It's just like that saying. It's like,
It's like so many people, I mean, even on both sides, like, claim to be pro social justice and pro humanitarians. But when it comes to the border, they are quick to say, "Oh no, not close the border."
right.
Because why? At least temporarily. And I don't even
Right.
advocate to close the border for a long time.
Right.
It would be a temporary, like, 6 months to a year type of, because our country is in like literal chaos. We have mass inflation. We have
Right.
probably the highest record of people staying at home not working because they're getting paid from the government right now. Our country is in shambles, and we can't even agree to like shut the border to give our own country some stability for a short time period. I just don't understand it. If you're watching, please comment and disagree with me. Because seriously,
Yeah.
I want to understand why. I just have never heard a good reason from the left of why you shouldn't shut the border other than the fact that it appears racist, which I don't think it is. I think it's much more racist to the people of our own country to shove jobs into other people's hands,
Yeah.
and take them out of our own people who are in poverty or just barely surviving, and now they can't even get work.
Well, there's a couple of different arguments. It's like the libertarian side where they're all about open borders because they're like, good, the more people in here, it'll create incentive, and maybe you shouldn't be working those low income jobs. You should create your own job. And so it's like very libertarian free, just like you can come in all you want, and we'll just, if people take those jobs, we'll have to make more jobs. So it's just better for everyone. So there's the libertarian side. And then there's like the democratic leftist side where it's, which is weird because the leftists should be against open borders, but yet they're for it. It makes no sense in their philosophy, because a true leftist should be a nationalist in a sense, but they see it as an opportunity to get more voters. And that's why they want to do away with like voter ID. They don't like voter ID because then you have to be an actual citizen to vote. You can't just be break down the street vote. So they see that as an opportunity to get low information voters in.
Power seeking.
Yeah. And I don't think they really care about like liberals like the two-class system of the elite and then the serfs, very communist where it's like the powerful and then the weak. And so the powerful stay in power. Hey, I mean, we saw that through like the whole pandemic. It was like, hey, we're making these rules and we want you to live by them, and we want you to wear a mask, and you don't question. If you question, then that goes against everything. You're not allowed to protest wearing masks and shutting down schools, but you're allowed to protest racism. Right. That's okay to protest. So we're going to be the ones that dictate to you how to think and what is virtuous and not virtuous.
No, it's like, it's so incredibly communist. I heard something today too that actually kind of like blew my mind and made me think a lot about socialism. The guy I was listening to said socialism is like the number one enemy of innovation.
Sure.
Which I think a lot of people in our country agree. I mean, even just take like climate change, for example. If that's an issue that you really claim to care about,
right.
You would agree that we need innovation. Sure. To create more systems that like reduce the carbon footprint, blah, blah, blah. You could go on forever. But innovation is extremely important to the success of a people and a country.
Yes.
And when you provide a universal basic, whatever.
UBI?
It like severely decreases the incentive to innovate and create. You don't think so?
Well, I mean, it just depends on how much the UBI is. I mean, if UBI is just like $1,000 per month for each individual, you're still not going to be able to meet.
Okay, so let's say it's like a ton of money a year.
Oh yeah, that's
where does
different.
that money come from?
No, I'm saying you're right to a certain extent. Like I agree that like communism, it takes away the incentive. That's like the big argument against, government-run healthcare is that it takes away the incentive for these hospitals to be fantastic hospitals, doctors to be fantastic doctors, nurses to be amazing doctors, like practitioners, and then what's the hospitals when they're like nurse-run instead of doctor-run or whatever, where the nurses have a lot more power than other hospitals. Magnet hospitals, it takes away all those incentives that come with, and then like drug companies, hey, we want to be the ones that provide the COVID vaccine, so we're going to rush to make it happen as soon as possible. There's incentive there. But if you just say, hey,
well, so what is
we're all getting paid the same no matter what, there's no incentive to be the first.
Right. So you were saying it to a point.
Right.
What do you mean?
As far as UBI?
Yeah.
Well, I don't see, like, UBI I think is a stupid idea, but I can understand the idea behind UBI where it's like, there's a lot of people out there that are struggling to make ends meet, and so having an extra $1,000 in there, it's just welfare.
It's just, problem with that is it's more, like you said earlier, it's more Band-Aids.
Right.
Because they're not asking the question, why are these people in poverty?
Right.
70% of Black Americans Black American children right now are growing up with a one-parent household.
Fatherless. Right.
70%.
That's very
That's
staggering.
tragic. The number one indicator of someone's success in life is having a two-parent household.
Home stability.
Yes.
Yeah. Even for just any kid.
Why? Why do they not address why? There are reasons. There are so many people, especially minorities, who are in poverty, who ride that line their entire lives. And we don't ask why. We just want to throw more cash at it. We just want to print more money.
Right. Well, I mean, I think there's more white people than black people on food stamps. Yeah, and I think it has a lot to do with drugs, and I think it has a lot to do with, but yeah, a stable home environment is against the Black Lives Matter on their website. The first thing is they want to dismantle the nuclear family. So,
and the reason is because they see they see parents as a not a symbol, but a unit of oppression.
Yeah, of course. Because there's power behind.
There's like the
there's
whole
individualism.
thing with Black Lives Matter is like this new Marxist ideology, getting rid of every single thing that is the oppressor. Parents being one of them. God, I think, is the ultimate oppressor.
Yeah.
Them.
Right.
But we see in research that
unless you're Muslim, that's okay.
And then we see in research that having two parents is the number one two parents in your household is the number one indicator of your own individual success.
Right.
I guess maybe the further argument is what they identify or measure, how they measure success. Maybe they measure success as being oppressed and free. So like not working a job you don't want to, or not, like what is their end goal? Marxists and Black Lives Matter.
Created two-system government. People in power and serfs.
Yeah, but that's the people in power are oppressors.
Right, but the whole idea of a lot of this that's pushed for CRT and stuff like that is to manipulate and make you believe things that aren't necessarily true.
Right, propaganda.
Be true. Propaganda. They're changing the narrative. They're trying to change the way we talk. They're trying to change the definition of things. They're trying to do that more and more in order for them to stay in power and for you to be weak.
So maybe my understanding of Marxism is flawed, because I guess I think that all of these people who agree to these things, I know that a lot of them are uneducated about the things that they so proudly claim to defend,
or they just believe it,
but
it's like, because it's a cult, they believe these terms.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, I guess I thought that these people were believing it because they really thought that it would work, and like that someday they wouldn't be oppressed if they push these ideologies along.
Yes.
But in reality, it's being used by the people in power to keep them oppressed.
Right. That's why they get celebrities to come out and say things.
Yeah.
That's why
there's so much propaganda. This is blowing my mind.
Well, I mean, just talk to anybody from Venezuela. I saw an interview from a guy that crossed the border that's Venezuelan saying, I came to America. You guys don't want what's going on in Venezuela.
Right.
Trust me, there's no lines for food. I mean, I've seen videos of people going from Cuba to Miami, going to like a Walmart and just crying because they've never seen, they've never seen food on shelves before.
In abundance, yeah.
Just on shelves. Just like a little bit of, they don't have to wait for food. They get to choose what they want. They don't have to just be like, I guess I have to eat this because it's the only thing in. And so it's all propaganda and it's all being pushed down your throat. And then they've gotten to the point where they just believe. I think we're just at such a weak-minded society where our lives are so good that we would even consider communism as an answer or solution, final solution, if you will, to push down our throats for the government. It's literally the craziest thing. Like, people are losing their like good-minded liberals are losing their minds on this because they're like, I can't believe people in my party here, like Bill Maher, every single week comes out more and more. It says more and more fiery things that like are making his people and his party mad.
Really?
Because they've gone so far they've gone way too far to the left. And
I mean, it's gotta make them wonder, like, who's pulling the strings? I mean, Biden and Kamala are like two of the most transactional politicians we know.
yeah,
They will just say whatever they hold.
right.
And so it does make you wonder if you agree with the left or you're liberal or you're on that side of the aisle, whatever. It does make you wonder, like, what is happening to our party? Because, I mean, frankly, it's severely anti-American.
Our party? What do you mean? Whose party?
The liberal.
Oh, okay.
Like
yeah,
what they're doing right now.
If you're like an old Democrat.
Yeah. Like what they're doing right now is
That's why you see
severely anti-American. And
well, that's why you see people like Tim Pool, Tim Cass, whatever.
Right.
He's like blowing up. He used to be liberal, and he's just like watching his party, like just blow up in front. But that was always the case. It's always like the left always could go too far left, and then the right could go too far right. But you need to have that balance for each other to keep each other in the center.
Right.
So, but they're just they're in control of so much. They're in control of the media. They're in control of big tech. They're in control of the government, and there's so much money, and they have so much money. They have more money. They have so much money.
They're printing it.
Well, and there's that too. So they're just in so much control of everything that
they're unhinged.
They're just going. Yeah, they're going to town. They're just like what?
Actually, no checks and balances.
If you dream it, you can achieve it. Well, the only check and balance right now is the Senate, and then also, SCOTUS.
Yeah.
But they want to expand the court. I mean, it's only a matter of. I mean, here's what a lot of liberals do is that they make jokes. They make propositions like, "Hey, let's expand the court," just to put it out there because that's what they want to do. They just want to. They want to feel it out.
Yeah.
And then once they say it more and more and more, people start to like go
accept it. It's part of the language.
This is a good idea. Like, hey, climate change is a real issue, and you're like, climate change? What the fuck is that? And they're like, and they keep saying it.
Yes,
over
I know.
and
It's the
over. And you're
repetition.
like, oh, okay. And they're like, hey, here's my pronouns, and you're like, pronouns? I've never even cared about pronouns. And then you say it over and over again. And all of a sudden you're in a chat room and you're like, people are putting their pronouns first. You're like, why don't I just call you by your freaking name?
How did we get here? Yeah, no.
Why do we care?
No, it's. I was thinking about it earlier. Like, people have said this before, but it's true. The left is extremely effective.
Yes.
They are very cunning and smart about how they persuade general public and in mass.
Well, they have, celebrities, because the celebrities are powerful. They're rich and powerful. They don't really do much in order to be powerful. And so, and the media backs them.
Kind of crazy. Like,
it's very crazy.
It's crazy how much the repetition thing really does work for people.
Yeah, I've noticed it even works on me sometimes because like things that I immediately say I'm not gonna believe that
or subscribe to it.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden I hear it more and I'm like, all right, I guess if this is how it's gonna be.
Right.
But I
know, and then you think like two years ago, I would have thought this was insane. Some of the things that we're like so obsessed with now in our culture, like just. To me, it's a huge waste of time. There are actual problems happening.
Mm-hmm.
There always have been. There will be.
Right.
And this is like such a big problem with, I don't know if it's the left, the right, politics in general, government in general. It's just we waste so much time and money on issues that in the long run really don't matter.
At all.
And we spend too much time caring about every other thing but humans.
Yeah.
And it's
that's
sad.
That's what they want.
Like, it's so sad to me that we just use each other and at the expense of our own like political gain and power.
Right.
And I'm not saying this is like purely on the left or one side of the party, but I think it's just really disgusting how our country is so obsessed with politics and the White House and Washington and the Capitol, and it was never supposed to be like this.
No.
You know?
The
Like,
president was never supposed to have like this kind of power.
no.
It was supposed to be the states.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And that's how it should be.
I mean, and you do realize as an adult, like where you live, the politics of where you live, like the state, the county, is very important as an adult.
Yes.
And I think it's this realization of like, okay, the president is gonna do whatever the president does, whatever. They're gonna mess up the whole country, but like at least I know the politics of my own neighborhood,
Right.
and that's very important for Dan. It's become incredibly more important to me as a younger adult. Like, oh, it's actually really important to know what happens in the county that I want to live.
Yes. Yeah, because they have control over so much.
Right.
And it's
Over your day to day.
It was never really taught to me in school. It was always like we talked about a little bit of the House, a little bit of the Senate, a little bit of, SCOTUS, but we talked about the president. We never talked about local politics. We never talked about the mayor. We never talked about town council. I didn't even know what town council was for a good majority of my life.
Right.
And then I was like, what's town council?
Right.
And I'm like, that was never taught in high school. I don't know about you. Was that taught for you? Like local politics?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're Texas. You're schooling than me. I was in South Carolina, a bunch of idiots.
No, I was in this like young leadership development thing where we went around to different entities of your local town.
What?
So, like,
that's awesome.
Went to the police station, ate prison food.
Wait, what was that?
It was disgusting.
Wait, what was it?
I think it was like
cheese bread.
It was like pureed carrots or something.
Yum. I feel like I'm on the Food
chicken
Network.
and gravy or something. I don't know. It was really gross. The
like an MRE meal?
smell was actually the worst part.
The people there or the food?
No, the food.
Okay.
Yeah, that was very informative. But I'm gonna say, it's interesting. Derek thinks I'm a serial killer because I drive
100%.
around with no music and I just listen to my own thoughts.
Serial killer right there.
I hardly ever listen to music in my car. Just
That's very weird.
pure silence.
That is so weird to me. Especially somebody like me that has like a subwoofer and like a system in his truck.
But I'm telling you, I'm very observant when I'm driving now.
And you're contemplating who you're going to murder.
No, I'm just very observant of my surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I've noticed recently is like when you enter or exit different city limits.
Oh, while you're like driving across country?
No. Just locally. Like
Okay.
you go into one town or like you're driving just locally. Like one, you know how all the towns like blend into another. But as soon as you leave this little city and you enter into these city limits,
yeah,
the roads change, scenery changes,
of course.
and you can literally see the difference in political decisions before your own eyes.
Isn't that the best?
Like this county pours more into their infrastructure, roads, bridges,
right,
street lights, all of that.
Almost population.
This part, now I'm exiting that, entering this, and there's like trash everywhere. There's potholes that haven't been filled. It's more dirty and disgusting. The road gets bumpier. There's no plants or flowers or trees anywhere. It's just crazy to me. You can literally see what the money, pay your taxes, goes to. Just driving around.
I think this begs the bigger question then is, does governmental help actually help anyone?
Never.
Never?
Well, maybe not never.
I mean, it's okay. I just want to know.
No, I don't think never. But I would say
But what's the line?
a tiny percent of government funding is actually effective at improving the livelihood of its citizens.
Yeah.
I mean, I think our founding fathers were so right on, well, I mean, which side of the aisle you believe. I just don't believe that bigger government is the solution to so many people's problems.
Right.
It can't be.
Shouldn't be.
It can't be. Like it
Corrupt.
yeah. It's not only corrupt, but
Can't expect Joe Biden to save you.
not
Or
only
Kamala. Government's here to help.
not only that, but you can't expect the minds of a few to know what the masses need. Everyone is so different.
Yeah, especially geopolitically and just
Not only geopolitically, but like what they want out of life.
right.
And what they desire. Some people want a huge house and they want
Some
a
people want
lot
that
of
van
money.
life.
Some people don't. Some people want to
Right.
live off the street. Some people want just a small, they don't want to work a lot. They want to live their life more outside of work.
Right.
And you can't have the government telling people what they should or shouldn't do. That's just not how it just cannot work like that, because you can't have a tiny percentage of the population making decisions for all.
Right.
Because all of us are so uniquely different in what we want out of life,
Right.
what we seek,
Yeah.
our religions, our beliefs, our values.
Right.
They're all very different.
And some of us, like, the more people help us, the worse it is for us.
Totally. Yes.
Some
Totally.
people do need like that little extra push, and you're like, okay, I can do this. But most
Right.
people are like, they need to hit rock bottom in order to figure out life.
Yeah.
I'm that person. I need to experience true heartache to learn.
Failure.
And I'm just a slow learner that way. I like learning the hard way for some stupid reason. I guess I just don't believe it until it happens to me. But it's definitely something to work on. But yeah, I was thinking about like that, like this old video by John Stossel. And it's back when he was on Fox News, and he went to Native American reservation, and he was saying, why is the most heavily subsidized community in America given the most money the poorest? It makes no sense. And that, just that idea that that's a story. I mean, that would honestly, that in today's culture, that'd be seen as racism and all that crap.
Right.
It's so funny that like you can't ask questions anymore,
Right.
because like people are like wondering, what are your like, what's driving you to this question? Is it because you're a big racist and you want to make them look stupid? And you're like, no, I want to help these people, and maybe government subsidies isn't working, and so we should not do it anymore because it's causing them to not work. It's causing them to be poor. It's causing them to only make casinos. Like I don't know. I don't really know what the answer is. I know like.
Well, I think the answer is what we have. Like, that's the thing I was thinking about. Is like, okay, if not this Marxist, yes, like then what? Like, I can say all day, like, no, absolutely, I don't want that. But what is
Right.
it that I do want? And what I do want is to elect people who represent the people.
Right.
And that is it. That's how it should be. And it is so important to rely on local governments and smaller governments, because when you're in a smaller local town, it's easier as a city or a town to unify and elect someone to represent you as a local town.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's how
easier
it
to make a
should
phone
be.
call.
Yeah, it's easier
Right.
to make a phone call to persuade them to
Right.
like, this is what we want, this is who you elected, and this is what we're asking you to do and
Yeah.
put into power. I think that system is great.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, and it never will be. There will never be a perfect system. I believe we live in a fallen world where there will be no system that perfectly solves every single person's problems or things that they find important. I also think one thing that we really should fight, and you mentioned this a lot, is term limits.
Yeah, right.
Because being a
I would
politician,
never do that.
but being a politician, I wouldn't say never. Being a politician should not be a career. It is.
No, it shouldn't.
It is a service.
Well,
and
they call
it's-
themselves
and
that.
it's something that like I would never want to do.
No.
And it's something that I think should be a lot less appealing because it has virtually
Yes.
no benefits.
Right.
That's
I've heard the argument against that is that then that will create not our best and brightest to run the country.
But why do the best and brightest need the most money or the most like longest career? I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I think the best and brightest should have the exact same amount of power to vote on those elected as their next door neighbor.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish they would do that. I wish it would be 4 years in and then out. I feel like our country would be so much better off if people were forced to vote on new faces every 4 years, no matter what. You would never get a Nancy Pelosi. You would never get a Mitch McConnell. You would never get a Lindsey Graham. You would never get a Chuck Schumer. You would never get, and just so many to like count. Even
Right,
even mayors should only be able to run one. Town council, I don't care. You're right. It should be a public service to serve your country, serve your community, and do your 4 years and leave. And then look for the next brightest minds to do it.
It should be like going into the military.
Yeah, I think you should be paid well, so then like people would do it. But I
think you should be paid a fair salary. I don't think you should be paid well. I don't think it should be.
I used to be like they should only be paid minimum wage.
Yeah, or I mean like a very just basic, just mediocre salary, enough to live,
enough to make it an actual servant.
Yes, but not enough to where like the rest of your family doesn't need to work.
Right, your abuela can't fix her roof.
For your, but it should be a lot less appealing than it is, and it should not be something that the power can to grow over the life of their career.
Yes,
they just continue to get more and more power as individuals, and they stop representing. How many politicians that represent a district or a county don't even live there?
Right.
That's disgusting.
I know. Like Andrew Yang just moved into New York, and they're just like, I'm gonna run for mayor now.
Yeah, like Maxine Waters,
has
a huge house that's not even near where the district she represents.
Yeah, and you're like, of course you want to defund the police. You don't even live here, dude.
Right. Like, that's disgusting to me. How can you claim to know what's best for those people when you don't even live there?
Right.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Like we've gotten to a place where politicians are some of the most disgusting people because they are so obsessed with their votes and their power and their status that they don't care to abuse other humans or use them for their own political gain. And to me, that is just absolutely disgusting. It really makes me feel good about myself when I go to sleep at night because I know I'm not them. I know I'm like flawed in a lot of ways.
Because you're not a politician?
No, because I know I am flawed in a lot of ways, but at least I am not that
that's good, BB.
evil.
Yeah. Well,
that's deceitful.
I think with term limits, it would take away, because people always say this about politicians. They say they're so like the most narcissistic people. They just want to be in there for power. I think with term limits, that would take away so much narcissism.
Because I don't think people start that way. I don't believe people go into politics being narcissists already.
I think you can tell who is and who isn't.
Yeah, but I think the longer their career, the more self-absorbed and narcissist they become.
Yeah.
And so it's just hard to retain any kind of humility when you,
especially when the media props you up and tells you how amazing you are and how cool you are, and like just even like CNN's, reliable sources with Brian Stelter. He was like talking to Jen Psaki, and he was like, how can we do a better job of reporting for you guys? I just want to make sure, he was like, what are we missing? What are we doing wrong? Like, what can we do better? And you're just like, what? You're a journalist, bro. You're supposed to be reliable sources. You should be like asking her questions as opposed to like, you know what? Am I being a jerk to you?
Right. How could I be nicer, though?
Am I reporting too harshly on Biden?
Is this a comfortable, safe space?
Is the way I'm reporting make us want to hang out later? Can I go to your parties?
Can I get drinks?
And
yeah,
I'm not doing
right.
this voice because he's gay. I'm just doing it because it's so petty.
Right. No, at first I was like, well, I mean, that's kind of a nice thing to do. But no, the nature of journalism is to get the truth. And when the truth is so
Yeah.
hidden under like what, hundreds of years of deceit and lies, and you're going to ask, how can we be nicer to you, or how can we
Right.
make this what are we missing? That's your job to figure out what you're missing.
Right. You should be the one that you should be asking questions to figure out what you don't know.
Yes.
But he wants to be invited to the parties. He wants to be invited to have the exclusive take because
Disgusting.
Because CNN's ratings are so crappy.
They're so bad.
He wants to be like, what am I doing wrong that I'm not getting more attention from you, Jen? I don't know. Beep Beep says that they need a moratorium on how they profit from their position, and that is 100%.
Yeah.
The fact that Joe Biden walked in poor and is coming out a multimillionaire is a problem.
And Bernie Sanders, anti-millionaires, and now it's anti-billionaire.
He wrote a book. It's different.
I heard.
Bernie's a little different because he wrote a book, but
I heard people that were saying
he just so sketch.
I heard people the other day talking about how Bernie Sanders, he's like one of the only politicians that has really kept his values.
Not anymore.
Thank you. They were so convinced that he is.
Did you not see the last election?
I know, but they were so convinced that this is how he's been the entire time, and he has always stayed true to himself and his beliefs, and he's one of the only ones who his narrative today remains the same as it was 40, 50 years ago.
Right, 100 years ago.
Are you kidding me?
Right. No.
Wake up.
Bernie used to be.
Turn on the TV.
Bernie
Wake up.
was pro-guns.
Educate yourselves.
Pro-guns, closing borders, very nationalist-minded.
Right.
Things like Trump. You would think him and Trump would agree on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But instead of agreeing with stuff that he always agreed with, he changed his mind because he was told by the the powers that be, you're not allowed to say these things.
Now he has 3 houses?
I think he has 2. Does he have 3?
I don't know.
I know he has that huge lake house.
Good for him. But don't preach one thing and live out the other.
That's why he used to be the billionaires. That was just billionaires.
Right.
But I'm more concerned about people like Joe Biden that aren't they're just raking it in. And not only that, there's the nepotism of son being profited from all of this stuff. That is huge. Even
awful.
I'm not gonna even get into the drug addiction because that's a whole different thing. That's a huge topic, and I feel bad for that, and I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
and that sucks.
That's a different thing.
But getting your drug addicted son a multi-million-dollar positions, in some sense you're enabling him, but him being on the board of a gas company, which is so ironic that he shuts down pipelines, but then he puts his son
and also what was it that he got from China?
I don't remember. He was in some position that he was working with China in business. China was trying to talk to Biden to get in with Obama, and then they used Hunter to talk to Joe Biden and be able to do deals and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Beep Beep said, I'm not a huge fan of term limits, but it seems that any congressional senatorial member in for over a decade or two seem to be loaded with time by the time they leave. Yes. I
don't think that's right.
What?
That they, what you said, they go in poor and they come out.
Yeah, that's what.
However many millions we're saying.
Right, yeah, we don't know because it's undisclosed.
Can you explain though why you don't believe in term limits?
Yeah, I'm confused about that too because I think that would solve so much because then you wouldn't have as much cronyism, whereas these corporations.
Unless you have an inflated sense of people's moral character, and you're these people are really great morally and they should be in office for a long time. If you
Rick in Florida, DeSantis,
Ron.
Why did I say Rick?
I don't know. Rick is more of a Florida name.
Yeah.
So I see it.
Rick. DeSantis, I think the benefit outweighs getting rid of people like DeSantis after 4 years because you would get rid of all kinds of people and then you would get better voices in.
Right.
I don't know.
It seems like you'd have more diversity. You had term limits.
Well, yeah, and not only that, you would see things like during the
Not
pandemic,
just
when all
diversity
the
of race, but diversity of thought.
right. That that's what I think, because like you would have like a 4-year limit where they're like all the progressives get voted in because people are like, maybe we'll give this a chance.
Sure.
But then as soon as that 4 years done, people would be like, oh, this sucks, and get rid of all of them,
and
then go back to conservative.
Right.
And well, yeah, that's right. You would get so much like flip flop, and then I would think it would balance out. Whereas now it's like people are just in power for forever, and then if they stay in power, then they get their friends more in power. Like, oh, AOC, come in here. Oh, we'll do this to please you because you're the new brightest minds. And then they just stay in power, and then it just becomes like this bigger snowball effect as opposed to like flip flopping or moving with the wind. So I think you would get better minds, you would get better vision, and you would get more people that are ready to serve the people that they are in their district, because they would be forced to by the term limit, where they would be like, I only have 4 years. I want to make sure the people in my district are happy with me. So when I retire and I go back home, they like me, as opposed to like, I'm just going to stay in Washington, D.C. for the rest of my freaking life. I'm never going to go back home to my podunk tongue in Mississippi or Tennessee or Kentucky or in Alabama, or like these little tiny towns. I'm not going to go back there and because I'm retiring in DC, where they would go back after 4 years, and then would they be congratulated and welcomed and thank you for serving us? Or would they be, hey, you screwed up, you better move, bruh?
It would probably improve voter turnout too, because because I think the way it is for a lot of like smaller towns, it could, like the one person has been in power for so long. How many people do you have for their local elections sitting at home and not going to the polls because they're like, oh, so and so's just gonna win it again?
Right.
You know, like she's won it 40 years.
When I used to live in South Carolina, I would think that for Lindsey Graham all the time. I would be like, I hate him. I can't stand Lindsey Graham.
Well,
but I feel like if I don't vote for him, then the Democrat's going to win.
Or so what's the point of voting at all, because he's just going to get it? I mean, I don't think that way.
Okay, if you're in like a very conservative district.
I cherish my right to vote.
Right.
But I think a lot of people get jaded with elections because of these politicians who have been in power for so long.
Right.
That they're like, what's the point of even voting? They're just going to win again
anyway. There's no new voices. There's no new characters. So what's the point of me even voting?
They're disinterested in the person. They've heard the same.
There's nothing exciting about like the career politics. Right. There's nothing exciting about Pelosi or what's that? Elizabeth Warren or like Bernie Sanders. I mean, he's 90. He's like 1,000 years old. There's nothing to be excited. There's like the idea of like
new voices every 4 years, every 2 years, whatever. It would encourage a lot of people to really like get invested and educate themselves about who people are.
I would get more excited.
What are their new ideas? Yeah, I would get excited too.
Like who's this Rick Santoris?
23-year-olds, you know, like running for
right.
You know.
Who's this TikToker that I knew did only dances?
Yeah, it would be kind of exciting to fresh faces every single election cycle.
I'm excited by the idea.
Yeah.
Beep Beep says, I'm not a huge fan. I definitely see the benefit, but they punish better people. That's true. If you did do term limits, there would have to be even more watching over campaign funds. I could kind of see that. But at the same time, they blow out campaign funds all the time. I do like the idea of term limits in a vacuum. Yeah. And he also said the main problem is that many of our elected officials don't understand that they are there to represent the constituents. This is what we've been talking about. It's like fixing a car that has 200,000 miles on it. Hey, I have a Toyota Tacoma with 265,000 miles on it. It's running just fine. You better back up on that.
It's every day.
Yeah, starts every day. I will take it across country right now. It's not one of those Fords. It's not fixed or repaired daily, first on race day. It's like fixing a car with 200,000 miles in it. We need a systematic fix. Oh, systemic buzzword. But
I mean, I think the systemic fix is term limits.
Term limits.
I think it's a radical. It shouldn't be radical, but I think it's a radical idea.
He says those are Toyota miles, though. Exactly.
Toyota miles hit different.
I know. I'm just breaking it in. It's like at 40,000 miles. It's like a brand new car.
Toyota miles hit different.
Yeah, I got that
It's 20
bulletproof
years
Toyota
old.
mile.
20
I
years
know.
old. The
I know.
2001.
Runs like a champ. Cranks up every time. Just replace all my belts.
Yeah.
Run like a beast. I need to do oil change on that bad boy though. Term limits though would change everything. I do think so.
I think.
We keep hammering this
why
idea.
don't we try it? No, we're trying
Because I don't
everything
know-
else.
Because we have to rely on elected officials
I know.
who enjoy the power,
I know.
enjoy the status.
That's the problem.
Maybe they're being invited to Jimmy Kimmel Live. Maybe they're on
But see,
Jimmy Fallon.
that's the problem is that like we've already surrendered so much power to politicians.
Way too much.
We've surrendered so much that we can't even
celebrities.
put limits on their terms now because they're the ones who have to vote on it.
Right.
I mean, I
That's why
guess unless we like all band together to impeach everyone, which is not realistic. It's not going
Right.
to happen. So
They vote on their own salary and they vote on how long they want to be there for. Why would they? Could you imagine voting on your own salary? Why would you not give yourself a raise every single
yeah,
year?
I'd give myself so much money. We are selfish in nature.
Right.
We want the best for our family, for ourselves.
And because of this, this 4%, 11% inflation that's going on right now, we gotta bump it up a lot more,
Yeah,
right?
we need it.
Hey, Beep Beep says term limits are worth a try at least. Yes. Welcome to the band. Welcome to the club. All right, Carissa, has this been fun?
It's been a great town. Great
What
time.
you said, we need to refer them as representatives, not officials, not leaders. Hey, now that's a thought.
That is a very good point.
I like that.
They are not.
They refer to themselves as representatives and not officials and leaders, but people, I think the media props that up a lot.
I think just
social media.
subconsciously we all view them as more powerful than they should be or are. We
Yeah.
give them more power in our minds because we're just taught from day one.
Well, we want a god,
Yeah, well, we want people to lead us.
right?
And
We want a king, but we don't.
in
we don't.
reality, we are.
I don't want a king. That's why I hate them. But these people that are in power, like leftist liberals, they want a king. They want monarchy. They want
Right.
to be told what to do.
Our founding
Programming.
fathers wanted us to govern ourselves. And I really like,
Yeah.
that's how it should be. That's why we
I wish.
have been such a powerhouse country since 17.
Right.
We govern ourselves.
That's why people
Power
want to attack
lies
us.
within the hands of the people, but I don't know when this happened. What decade or what time period just started surrendering all the power to,
Yeah.
and it gave them in our minds all the power to lead us, and not how it should be. It's just purely just representation.
Do you feel like it's because we become less of a religious?
Here's another hour of this show. Yes, 100%.
You don't want to get into it?
No, I could go on that for hours.
Yeah.
Yes, America. I don't know when this started. Maybe the 70s. I don't know.
Oh, when like hippies?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know when it started.
I thought like there was
think
like
I'm too
Jesus freaks
young.
around there or what, something like that.
I think I'm too young, but I think our country as a whole has a worldview.
Yes.
And I think our worldview has been manipulated and distorted into something that it shouldn't be, in my opinion.
Well, we're taught and focused constantly on the negative aspects of our country rather than what's so great about America. So we're like, even in schools, they're like, oh, like let's talk about how
America's
all
so
the
racist.
yeah, let's talk about how all these white people came in and just murdered all these Indians,
Yeah.
and like let's talk about slavery. Instead of like, let's talk about like the first country in the world to outlaw make it a law against slavery. Like let's talk about like freeing people, and
we are the most accepting country
we're the
of
most
all.
welcoming, accepting, and free people in
Yeah.
the world.
Yeah,
And-
and we're taught that somehow we are, especially if your skin color is white, that we're like disgusting and oppressors.
Yeah,
So maybe it's like a more recent thing than I realize.
and they're slow. They're slow.
Yeah.
What they say? What
It's
is
the
that quote? It's like
repetition.
starts slow, then it's fast. I don't remember. Like slow moving, and it's fast.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, but I have no idea.
Beep beep says it's programming, not the Alex Jones sense, but programming. The globalists are taking over.
One thing I love about
Alex Jones is incredible.
AJ.
AJ, sorry.
One
AJ
thing I
Jones.
love about his
He's
show
hilarious.
is he always calls it a transmission. Like coming to you today for today's transmission. I'm like, this sounds like a sci-fi book.
I know. I think that's what he wants.
It's so fun.
Like-
It's fun.
Let me tell you about my Mercury supplement company.
Yeah.
You need to put in there and you got to
You'll
mix
live
it
for
up.
300 more years.
People are asking me why I've been losing weight, why I have so much energy, why I'm looking so good. It's because I'm drinking this Mercury drink. It's right here. Get it now. We're doing an exclusive offer, 30% off. Make sure you get it. It's fantastic stuff. Anyways,
Only for today's transmission.
only for today's transmission. Get it on the Infowars.com website right now. But the globals are taking over. I've been saying this for the rest of the year. People are mocking me. People are saying these
Stop
things.
it. You're gonna get a sore voice if you keep going.
No, I don't. No, I've classically trained my voice to do AJ.
Physically trained.
I've been telling you about the vaccine, people. I've been telling you about COVID-19. I've been telling you about the globalists. They're all in it.
Okay, no, but you are right. Back to the religion.
Oh, okay.
My opinion. And this, I do
God,
not.
I'm scared.
No, I'm saying I do not expect any.
Right.
So I'll just start with that.
I say the same thing about my podcast.
Yeah.
I don't want the same bubble. I like being challenged. I like thinking different.
In my opinion, and it's my belief, we are creations. God created us. Our sole purpose in life is to know God.
I feel like I'm talking to Michael Knowles.
Well, and so I think our country is suffering. Will be heading into a very long period of suffering.
Desert.
Yeah, because of how far away we've gotten from that belief, and that's again my opinion. But
I mean, there's a lot of weight behind that opinion, though.
yeah, well,
Get away from religion. People look for a god. They're looking for an idol. They're looking for Kamala Harris, Joe Biden.
I think we all are searching for purpose. It's
Yes.
my belief that our purpose is to know and love God.
Right.
It may not be your belief, and that's fine. I respect that totally. But it's my belief that because as a country we've moved away from that idea of loving God, His purpose for our life, just who He is and knowing Him and who He are suffering now, and we will be suffering the consequences of that.
Right.
Because we are we're
segregating ourselves. We're
looking
destroying families. We're destroying.
We're looking for every other thing to satisfy that need. God, every other but God. Consequences that come with that. And so as a country, scary.
Well, because you have a bunch of people that are just running around looking to put weight and faith into something, and the things that they're putting faith and weight in
Empty.
are empty, and they're eventually gonna fail or lie or go out of office or
right.
get voted out or it's just
They're all things that don't have eternal worth. they will fade.
Yeah. Yeah, Beep Beep says you can't legislate people to be ethical. And I think that's a huge thing too, is like there's a push in today's culture where they don't, because they're so far from like God or metaphysics, they don't have a category for evil. They don't understand that like naturally people are just evil, that you're evil, I'm evil. I have the propensity to be a total douche or jerk every once in a while. Instead, they're like, hey, we need to, it's not that you're being a jerk right now. We just need to re-educate you in this moment. We need you to realize this is not okay to say, as opposed to you're just an evil person.
Well, and it does beg the, like, the argument of the separation of church and state is one I've struggled with for a very long time.
Right.
Because it is my belief we as a nation, like, I think that's my belief is everyone's purpose. But you can't force that upon. You can't legislate that. You can't say what you believe and what you shouldn't believe,
Right.
or act on those beliefs either. So I don't necessarily think that we are operating like against, how to say this, but I don't think we're necessarily operating like outside of standards of America with the separation of state. It's just my belief is that because we are going this route, and we're seeking to fill that need for God in every other way possible, that our country will suffer.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
it's because
bravely.
people don't have a foundation. They don't have securities. They don't have things that they can trust, things that they can believe in. So they're constantly looking. They're changing their ethics. They're changing their values. They're changing pronouns. They're changing their names. They're changing their sex. They're changing everything in order to find some kind of comfort, some kind of.
But again, my thing is that I think they're all allowed to, and I think that everyone.
Well, of course, I totally agree with that
like,
too.
I think everyone should be free to make their own choices, so long as it does not harm someone else
or a child.
Yeah. Anyone else, any other human. You can do what I'm really okay with doing.
Yeah, I don't care either.
Do whatever you want, as long as it doesn't hurt another human life.
Yeah.
We can get into that too, but so I don't think that we as a country should like Christian nationalism should not be a thing. Like, I don't think.
Well, that'd be weird anyways. It would probably be fake.
But I think a lot of people would interpret what I'm saying as such. And I think a lot of people do think that, like, we should all be Christian. I do believe that, but I don't think it's up to the government to regulate or legislate that.
Right.
We
should all be vaccinated.
So it's like, I see where our country as a consequence of our actions as a people. However, I don't think it's like government's job to regulate people's beliefs, religions, ideas, freedoms. Yeah. And so I just think it's a natural consequence, but I don't think it's America's fault. If that makes sense. Like, I don't think it's our government or our, like, government structures, legislation, place. I don't think it's the fault of those. I think we should be free to grow up.
Of course.
And I think everyone should have the choice to do what they want.
We'll go back to what we were saying at the beginning. They don't want that. The leftists do not want you to have freedoms.
No, I know.
Freedoms give you power. Freedoms give you responsibility.
I know.
Freedoms give you
the like current leftist progressive agenda is different than what I'm talking about.
Right.
That is like pure deceit and evil,
manipulation and cult.
Yeah, it's cultish. Very cultish.
Yeah. Make your Fauci
but it's like
song.
So manipulative and evil. The consequences of people
don't
subscribing to that is, I think, an entirely different
they
conversation.
they don't understand where this road leads to. They don't want to admit it.
No,
And they think it's all a joke and
but it's
we're
also
just helping
it's
people.
that programming
Right.
that people are talking about, like saying that start with children, program them to believe these things,
Dude.
and it's evil.
Yes.
But it's like
Cool choice.
that's why so many people who subscribe to these like institutions, ideas, like from the left, like Black Lives Matter. I think Antifa is like a different sect of this, but they're like the more radical, like actual fascists. But the like everyone's accepted, and like everyone, not everyone's accepted, but I don't know, just like, okay, take Black Lives Matter for example. So many people just don't, they preach that and they subscribe to it, and they will go out and march and protest in that name.
Yeah.
But they can't even tell you
What's on their website?
what's on their website, what's on
what was before they took it down.
yeah, but they can't even tell you like 5 things that that institution
Or
believes
low
in.
information voters.
And it's sad, like,
Well, it's based on emotion.
But how can you protest?
Because it's emotion. It's sexy. It's like it's romantic. I know Jordan Peterson always talks about like how Antifa is a very romantic idea that you're actually fighting. You're actually fighting Nazis. That's my best Jordan Peterson. You're fighting Nazis. That you're actually fighting Nazis, and I don't think that was that bad.
It got better.
It did.
Nope,
you're
stop trying. Stop trying.
Nazis.
Chance.
Sorry, son of a gun. But you're fighting Nazis, and I mean that sounds like a great idea, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you've been locked up. You're playing Twitch. You're playing Counter Strike. You're playing all these video games, and you're like, I need to do something with all this energy. Let's go out and fight Nazis. Let's get rid of all this hate and racism and speech, and let's beat the shit out of people. Like, doesn't that sound amazing? And not only that, we're gonna beat up people, and people are gonna believe in our cause so much because we are actually fighting Nazis that people are gonna bail us out, including the vice president.
Right.
The beep beep says the left will take a bad known over the fear of the unknown. Really?
They will take a bad
known
over the fear.
So they know it's bad, but they'll take that over the fear of the unknown. So like the fear of the unknown is their freedom. Like,
right.
You could. That's why
true.
I like Bitcoin. It's like you could use it all for evil, or
it could be for
the good is going to outweigh the bad in the long run, and things are just going to be better because ultimately people are good people.
Right. That's actually a good point.
Yeah.
Really sad though. I mean, I think it's like something to really fight. It's difficult to have conversations with people who are so emotional.
Yes.
You know, like that's
yes.
I think that's one of the hardest parts of fighting these ideologies, is because all of these people are so emotionally invested.
Right.
And they are given scripts of what to say, like from the media and the government.
Religion.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a cult. Like,
yeah, you repeat these words and you'll be
it's
in.
not good
you're part of
enough
it.
to be not racist. You have to be anti-racist.
Right, and you have to have your Black Lives Matter flag. You have to have your black square.
So it's you have to actively be emotionally involved in fighting racism. Which I think for a lot of people is just besides the point. Like for me, I have always thought racism was evil.
Right.
Sinful. It's disgusting.
A right-thinking person would.
Right.
Right.
So why is...
You judge people on their character, not what their skin color looks like. Right.
Right. And it's like, because my skin color is white, it's not good enough. Those ideas that I've always had are not good enough.
Right.
Because of the color of my skin that I can't change.
Right, because you're the oppressor. It's something like I learned in my multiculturalism class, is that no matter what room you walk into with people, there's always the oppressors and the oppressed, and you need to figure out which one you are in that room. And if you're a white male, there's nothing you can do to change it because you're the oppressor in every situation.
Which is just, it's like, honestly, purely evil
yes.
to focus on things that you cannot change, like the color of your skin.
Right. It's racism.
That you cannot change.
It's the most stupid argument. Like,
it's disgusting.
When I was in my multicultural class, I would make these arguments like, I just want to like be open-minded to everyone, but I want the same from them. I'm not going to walk into a room and admit that I'm the oppressor. I'm not here to oppress people.
Right.
I've never just walked into a job and been like, "Hey, I'm a white guy. Give me this job." And they're like, "Hey, white guy, take this job."
And what's the end goal? Like, how is that supposed to help though? Like, if you walk into a room and you're like, "Yeah, I'm the oppressor here."
Well, it's for you to bow down and bend the knee to their ideology, even if it doesn't make sense to you. That's just another way, because
which is oppressing.
Right. Well, for a long time in history, the one thing that they do have right and throughout history in America, the white male has had most of the power. That is true. But in today's culture, it's wide open. It's free.
So
there's not Jim Crow.
We are the most accepting country.
I know.
I mean, in what other country can a lesbian person of color
adopt a baby?
Not only do that, but hold an office of power.
Oh, right. Yeah. Or be
in what other country?
On a media or
what other country can a transgender person hold an office of power?
Like a church pastor. They could be a pastor.
In what other country?
It's like in the BBC interview where she was talking to that Muslim girl, and she was like, "How many female imams are there?" And she was like, "Actually, it's not about how many female Muslim imams there are."
Okay, that's not a good accent.
That's actually incredible, and you're missing the point. But she just couldn't. She wouldn't answer because she knows the answer is 0. As the most oppressive religion out there is
Islam.
Islamic, but they are seen as POCs and seen as victims and not the oppressed, even though they're the oppressor in so many other areas in the world.
Right.
But you're not allowed to talk about that for some stupid, except for Bill
because
Maher. He's the only liberal that talks about
the color of their skin.
Yes.
Something they cannot change.
Yes, they don't allow women to drive. They don't allow women to like have a choice in marriage. They wrap their face up and put them in the corner, and that's seen as beautiful.
I think all of this is like they are just choosing to believe in the bad of people rather than the good. Like you are just choosing based on the color of someone's skin to believe that they're evil.
This is like going really deep.
No, I know.
Like we're like, that's why they're letting the jail cells open.
Right.
That's why they're getting all these new DAs. George Soros, that's getting the DAs, is paying for all these DAs, these very leftist DAs that they're just letting people out on petty crimes.
Yeah.
On violent crimes.
Not only are they choosing to believe the evil about certain people based on the color of their skin, they're also choosing to believe the good about people based on the color of their skin.
It's because they're
not because of choices or morality or personal things that they have done in their life. It's because of the shade or the skin tone. It's disgusting.
Right. Well, and I think in some degree, it's probably because what they've seen is maybe like black individuals being oppressed because they're in high society, and maybe that's different there. But in the lower crime areas, like high crime and poverty-stricken areas, it's not like a racial issue. It's like a home issue. It's a home life. It's jobs and mental stability, all these things. But they're just saying like, hey, that's racist, so let's let all these criminals out no matter what. And we don't care what they do or do in the streets. Like even AOC last week said, we need to get rid of our jails. We need to make less jails and make more hospitals, make more mental health. And they want to downsize the jails because it seems like a good idea. We used to have a lot of
mental health facilities.
Right.
They all got defunded.
Well, yeah. And that's another argument of government
Stupid. It's
using
not learning
funds
from
well.
history. It's stupid.
Right. Beep Beep says Elon has a summer home in Mogadiscio.
Madagascar?
Mogadiscio. I'm sure she has like 5 summer homes. And he also said, or she also said, I'm just kidding. Can you invoke your privilege? Is it like an incantation that you just need a wand or something? Which is true. I do it all the time. Wingardium white privilege. It's different. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching the Derek O'Shea Show with Carissa O'Shea. We've had fun. Beep, beep. Thanks for joining us. And thank you for all those that tuned in and left when they heard us speaking conservative facts. I appreciate you guys so much. Be sure to share this with your friends and family. Tell your friends and family about this. Maybe we'll go live more often. This has been a really good conversation, and I appreciate you, Carissa, for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. Had the best time.